What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Thunder Sports Pod with JT and
The Stache, baby, we back again.
yes, sir. So, NFL season wrapping up. We've got some topics today to talk about. First, right off rip, we've got a little wide receiver debate. So, who's the better receiver all time? Chad Johnson, Mr. Ocho Cinco, or Deshaun Jackson?
I like Chad Ochocinco a lot, JT. I'm a big fan of Chad Johnson. Chad Ochocinco, the salsa dance in the end zone, like he was electric. He was fun to watch. He has more catches and more touchdowns receiving than Deshaun Jackson as well.
Yep.
But Deshaun has more receiving yards. He averaged more yards per catch.
Yep.
And the man was an absolute stud when it came to returning kicks.
Mm.
Punts, kickoff returns. He had he had five kickoffs for touchdowns. He had four punts. That's nine touchdowns for his career just from that alone.
Mm. That's pretty crazy. I know different teams utilize Deshaun Jackson like a lot and punt returns and just different like jet sweeps. He was definitely more versatile than Chad ever was. But um, either way you look at it, these guys were two great receivers all time. So who would you pick if it's coming down to one decision?
I'm getting a lot out of both these guys, but I'm gonna have to go with Deshaun Jackson actually.
Ooh,
I like Chad Johnson more, but I think Deshaun Jackson with the punt and kick return was just such a nice extra factor coming out. I'm gonna go with Deshaun on it.
mm, I like the pick. But I'm gonna have to disagree with you on this one. I think Chad Johnson was better all time. I don't think it's by a huge margin. Like you said, Deshaun has more yards, but Chad's got more receptions and touchdowns all time. Johnson also has seven 1,000 yard seasons. Um, so Deshaun has five. So it's not a big gap, but it's definitely more. And another thing you can add to that debate is Chad, I feel like, played with lesser quarterback play than Deshaun got his whole career. Yes, Deshaun bounced from team to team, but I think
You think
Chad was
you
definitely,
think part you think
uh,
McNabb is way superior than Palmer?
dude. Deshaun has been around so many teams. I mean, he was with Philly, Washington, Tampa,
I
back
remember
to
him in
Philly,
Tampa.
Rams, Stafford, bro. Stafford was, yeah, I don't know.
I'm talking about when I think of Deshaun though. I think mostly of just Eagles. That's who I think of the most.
I mean, yeah,
But like that's
yeah.
what that Deshaun Jackson. I just think I'm like, man, that dude was a stud. I hate the
I mean,
Eagles, dude.
his speed, it could take top off of defenses. It was crazy, and I think I'll give this. Deshaun definitely had the speed, but Chad had the route running ability. He had great route running skills, and it was evident because he was getting open almost every route he ran. But I think it's very close of whoever you decide. I don't really think there's a wrong answer. I think either way you go about it, I think you go Chad, go Deshaun, both right answers.
I think Deshaun's the right answer personally, JT. Let us know in
Yeah.
the comments below though.
Yep.
Who are you taking, Deshaun Jackson or Chad Ochocinco Johnson?
Ocho Cinco, baby. But we'll continue with other NFL talk. Moving on to a very hot debate. Who is the best linebacker in the NFL? We've got Fred Warner or Roquan Smith. Who do you have in this one, Stash?
Ooh, I'm going. So Fred Warner in his in back in the day, I would have probably said Fred Warner. But at this point in time,
Yeah.
I'm going Raquan Smith. Dude's average stats close, like almost on the same level as Ray Lewis. Probably a guy he idolized and gets to play in the same position. It's crazy how similar it is after 7 seasons. Their stats. I'm going Raquan Smith. Fred Warner's getting
Hmm.
older too. Got to go with the young buck here. I think Raquan Smith's just a stud on a great defense. And think about
Yeah.
it. Like their defense was not like they had most of those pieces there. You add Raquan Smith and look at their defense. It's like the number one in the league.
Exactly. I think I'm in agreement with you. I'm going Roquan Smith here, and it's more of the eye test. You're pointing out the stats. I'm looking at what I see on the field and the production. Both teams have top five defenses easily. But I feel like if you switch the players, I think Roquan Smith would have more of an impact
Mm.
than Fred Warner would have at at this point in his career.
No, I
I
like it.
think,
I'm imagining Roquan Smith on the Niners right now, like going into the Super Bowl. Ooh, that'd be
that'd be
nasty.
nasty. And I will tell you this. I watched the Green Bay game in San Francisco. Fred Warner was getting burnt on these intermediate to deep routes by these Green Bay young receivers and even tight ends. So his coverage skills is not what it used to be at all. Fred Warner can still fill the gap, an A and B gap, very fine. But I think Roquan Smith is the better overall linebacker, and it's evident because he had a career year this past season with Baltimore.
Oh yeah, and I mean he already has more solo tackles and more sacks.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
just throw that out there. I mean, he does. I mean, already 7 years in the league, and he's still got a lot of time left.
Two, I think they're two of the best linebackers in the league easily. These are the two best. So
Levante David up there too, baby,
he's
representing.
very productive as well. But let us know down below, who do you think's the better linebacker, Fred Warner or Roquan Smith? But we'll go ahead and transition to a little bit of basketball in the NBA. So, who is the most underrated player in the NBA currently, Stash? Who do you have?
Most underrated. I'd probably say there's a, who's bad, but who's good. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Franz Wagner.
Okay.
I'm gonna do a little bias pick here. I think he's underappreciated by a lot of people. I think he balls out, and he's looked great on the match. Even though we've been in a little bit of a slump and we're back to the 8 seed, 7 seed area, I still think he's very underrated. Now Banchero's like the star, so I'm not gonna like use him. But
Yeah.
Franz Wagner is a fantastic player.
Oh, for sure, 100%. I mean, he's definitely slept on, and he's a pretty big piece to that Magic offense. He can go and drop 20, 25 almost every night we need him to.
Oh, definitely, and his brother too.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but my most underrated player in the NBA currently. Some people may know him, some people may not. He plays for the Houston Rockets. Do you have any guesses, Stash?
John Wall.
No, no. That man is washed. It is big man himself. I'm gonna butcher this name, but Alperen Sengun for the Rockets. He is going to be a big name in a couple of years. He's been producing. Last year, he was going off towards the end of the season, and he's just a fun player to watch. He reminds me of just a big man who can do it all. A little bit of Jokic game. He's a little bit more athletic than Jokic. He's like a better Julius Randle, if you will. He's very athletic. He's almost got that Kareem-esque type of footwork down below the rim. And not saying he's like Kareem, but he's got that footwork almost like him. And he's just very athletic, a good post player, and he's been productive when Houston in the past years they haven't been all that good. So he's definitely a bright spot on that young team.
Oh, I'll have to look at this. Yeah, I haven't heard of those guys, so I'm a little bit of a
Mhm.
casual right now. Football's still going on. I'll get back into it real here soon.
Oh yeah, basketball will be heating up in a couple of months for sure.
All kinds of basketball, college, pro, it don't
Oh
matter.
yeah, March Madness, baby. Um, but we got a little wild card topic here for everybody tuning in. For the next topic, who would win in a fight? If you lock them up hypothetically in a room together, who is coming out on top? John Jones in their prime or Mike Tyson? Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with who I think is the baddest man on the planet. I'm going John the Bone
Ooh.
Jones. Look, Mike Tyson. Don't get me wrong. Mike Tyson's got one of the craziest punches ever. Literally, like knockout power is insane. But in a street fight, and like in a room, anything goes. You're not just standing up. You're going to the ground. I'm taking John the Bone Jones. I think he's one of the baddest mans on the planet.
Mm. I think a lot of people may be flaming us, but I'm an agreeant stash. I'm going with the man himself, John Bone Jones. So I think, like you said, if you get him on the ground, John's got him. But if it's close, Mike's got that power punch, baby. I mean, he got that knockout power. Um, but I think John would be the one walking out because if he ever got him on the ground in a submission hold, man, it'd be over.
Those elbows.
Yeah. So I think that would be very interesting, and I would love to see it, both in their prime and their peak. Tyson may try to bite off an ear or two, but I think John would be the one walking out of that room. But let us know down below. Who do you think would be victorious, John Jones or Mike Tyson in this one? We'll go ahead and move on. A little bit kind of like the last topic, uh, fighting wise. So, who is the most underrated UFC champion ever, in your opinion?
Who I think's underrated. Champion.
Mm,
Probably have to go with like Chuck Liddell. I don't think Chuck Liddell like is appreciated in today's game comparatively to back
no,
then. Um,
yeah.
UFC has evolved a lot, but
Oh, it
I
has.
think it is important to go back and look at where it started. So mine would probably be Chuck Liddell, and I know he's still a huge name, but like I don't think he's appreciated as much now in today's MMA or UFC in general.
Mm. I mean, I don't disagree with you because I mean his name don't really
You
pop
don't
up in
hear it.
conversations much anymore. So in his prime, bro was a menace. He was definitely going after it, and I loved watching him in his fights. But I don't disagree with you. That's a pretty solid pick. But for me, I think some underrated UFC champ of all time is the former UFC middleweight champion, the man who slayed Anderson Silva, Chris Weidman.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he was definitely underappreciated in his time. And Silva was on a 16 game or not game, but winning fight streak. So that is very impressive. Silva in his prime, nobody was beating him until this man stepped up and knocked him off in the middleweight championship. So I think that would be my pick. I think he's very underrated. I don't even know about him much, but I did a little research, and he's definitely one of the greatest in the sport.
You gotta look back a couple like to the early 2000s UFC.
Yeah.
It's a whole different sport.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I love UFC and I love how much it evolves like throughout. But like just go back and watch some of that. You'd be like, wow, this is what it was.
for sure. Yeah, it's insane, man. Um, Going back to basketball, though, interesting thought here. Which NBA player, without their superior teammate leading the way, would become less of a player? So basically, I'm asking you, Stash, which player in the NBA currently, without their teammate, you think would like either fail or be subpar to what they currently are,
So you're,
being
so,
being carried, if you will?
so you're basically asking me, is there someone on a team that I think that if the main star of that team wasn't there, they wouldn't advance very far in the playoffs?
Yeah, or just in success in their individual career.
Oh, I got you. Uh, Giannis. Without Giannis, I don't think Dame goes anywhere. I mean, he
Okay.
went there to Milwaukee for a reason. He
Yeah.
couldn't do it alone in Portland, so
Mm.
I mean, it's gonna be Dame for me. Like that's the first person that speaks to my mind. You couldn't get it done by yourself. You went.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. That's who I'm gonna think. I'm gonna think of.
Mm.
Or like,
Let's know.
or you could have said I could have said Anthony Davis could be like he wouldn't be able to shine without LeBron. Even though,
That's
even
I
though
like
Anthony
that one
Davis was
better.
balling
But
out a little bit.
yeah, I mean, before he went to the Lakers, he was still balling with the Pelicans, though. So I don't know.
I'm just
I don't
saying
hate
now.
it, but yeah, right now, yeah, of course. But right now, I think I'm going up to the number one team in the East, the Boston Celtics. I think without Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown would be a shell of himself. I don't think he'd be the type of player that he is now today without Tatum taking the pressure off of him. And we all know he can't dribble left-handed. It was evident in the finals. Man had a lot of turnovers, unfortunately, but I just don't think Jalen Brown would be the type of player he is without Jason Tatum. truth may hurt some people, but I think it's facts.
So if you got to trade one of them, you're keeping Tatum.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
I'm just checking on that.
yeah. But Jalen Brown's still a heck of a player. He's a top 25 player in the league currently. Doesn't deserve to be the highest paid NBA player, in my opinion, but he definitely helps out that Boston squad. But without Tatum, I feel like he is one of the one of the players I would choose for fitting that criteria.
I like
But
it.
let us know down below, everybody. Who do you think is being carried by their superior teammate, and they would not be their same player they are currently? We'll move on to the next topic at hand. All right, so going back to football, which quarterback has the most pressure to perform next year in the NFL?
I gotta. I've seen a little bit some people talk about this. I'm gonna throw it out there because I just think that personally, I think it has a really good. A lot of people have been talking about it. I'm gonna go with Tua.
Oh, okay.
I think Tua's got a lot of pressure. He was hurt all last year. This
Yeah,
year, he what didn't stay hurt, but he could not get it done in the playoffs. So
yeah.
they were a first round exit. The Miami Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000. So just for retrospect on that. So I'm for me, that's a big deal. Like you got to get him. Like even if he had won one playoff game this year, if they would have won one, like I know it was a beating Kansas, they would have had to beat Kansas City. But if they would have gotten that done, then I don't think this would be even a topic. I wouldn't be discussing this. But
Yeah.
the fact is, they've not got it done. He's hurt. Now, not getting it done in the playoffs. I think they're going to start looking at that. Is Tua the guy for Miami? Maybe that's hot. I don't think it's that hot of a take. I think that's just a normal take. I mean, for me, that's a big guy that I think's on the hot seat. I could,
Mm,
because I mean, think about it. There's him. Maybe there's a lot of drama right now in Philly. Is Hurts the guy? Not including all the stuff with Justin Fields. Is he the guy,
hey,
or are they drafting Caleb Williams?
who's more of a game manager, Tua or Brock Purdy?
I Brock Purdy destroyed the Cowboys. Tua led them down the field to kick a field goal to beat the Cowboys. Just to let in respect, I know defense plays a big factor in this too. I think Purdy may be a game manager, but I think Purdy also is just like, and he's got like, oh, he's got the Avengers. Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in football. George Kittle is a top three tight end, and I would say Debo and Brandon Ayuk are both top 20 wide receivers.
Yeah,
Together, like they're both in the top 20 somewhere. Is what I mean by that. I don't mean they're both like 20 and 19. They're in there somewhere.
but yeah, in all seriousness, I think Brock Purdy's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a game manager in the slightest. I mean,
Yeah,
he won that game against Green Bay on the ground.
he
So
he he made clutch plays against Detroit to lead them back against Detroit. I mean,
yeah,
did he not?
I mean, he did, and I don't know if you heard this or not yet, but Cam Newton today said that Brock Purdy isn't even a top 10 player on the San Francisco 49ers.
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
Christian
that's
McCaffrey's ahead of
ridiculous.
him. Kittle's ahead of him. Debo and Brandon Ayuk, sure, if you want to put them, that's four.
Fred
Fred
Warner,
Warner, Nick Bosa, that's five. But like six,
yeah,
I don't know about after that.
yeah, that'd be about it.
And that's just like a thought process that off the top of my head. But
Hmm.
I mean, for me, I think Purdy has accomplished a lot of stats. Like
Yeah,
he's a game manager, but his stats are just so solid. And you've got the number one, like you have the highest paid QB, and Patty Mahomes taking on the lowest paid QB. And if the lowest QB wins, I think people are going to look at the league differently. Get top guys in their positions and their skill
yeah,
positions, and have like a mid. You can have a mid or a top like 13 QB and win a Super Bowl.
exactly. And that's the whole thing about getting these quarterbacks on rookie deals. They're not that expensive, and you can just build your team around them, and there you go. You got a good chance at making a deep run playoffs for you. But um, so for my pick here on having the most pressure to perform next year. I like your pick of Tua, but my personal pick is the man who just got hired to the Chargers, Harbaugh. I think Herbert has the most pressure to perform next year. He finally gets his guy. He gets a competent head coach finally. They've got offensive weapons. Their defense is coming back. Hopefully they'll be, not injured like they've been the past couple of years. But there's no more excuses in LA at all. Justin Herbert, go out there, prove the critics wrong. Do something in the playoffs. Don't let these other guys outshine you. I mean, you see Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar, Joe Burrow. They've been doing stuff in the playoffs. You have not yet. Even Trevor Lawrence beat you in a playoff game.
Hey, Brock Purdy's in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy has done what Josh Allen, what Dak Prescott, what Trevor Lawrence, what like none of these QBs have done. Jalen Hurts and Burrow, the only other young QBs have done it.
Yeah. Very true.
I
I
just
mean,
gotta
he has
find
the most
out
complete team, though. Yeah.
who Purdy. Oh, Purdy's got a great team.
Yeah.
No, the Niners are
But
solid.
yeah, they are. But but what do you think about the Herbert pick? I think it's a pretty exceptional one. I mean, the offensive talent around Herbert is good. If they want to beef up the O line, maybe get another back, sure. But I think it's pretty solid to compete in the AFC, and I don't think there should be any more excuses for him.
I think Herbert. I like the Herbert pick. I think so. Like I was talking about the other day. I think besides like just raw athletic ability, like Herbert's one of the best QBs. I think they quit running, which I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I think that his legs made him such a dual threat, and him running the ball made more sense. Him not like all the time, but like his scrambling helped them so much before.
it did. I mean, he's yeah,
Her,
just his
I
ability.
like the pick though. I think if Herbert cannot get things rolling, they have to get a playoff win this coming year. If
Yeah,
he does not get a playoff win, I'm just asking for one win. You can lose in the divisional. It'd be great if you could get to the AFC Championship, but if you can get a win, I think they'll keep him and continue to build. But they have to get a playoff win. And
got to.
it's so hard playing against the Chiefs every year twice, but you got to get it done.
Yep. I mean, you got to think about it. The AFC. It's cutthroat, man. All these young quarterbacks becoming in their prime. I mean, you got to get it done. If you want to compete in the AFC, you've got to find a way and a will to, beat these other teams. And there should not be any excuses. But let us know down below, who do you think has the most to prove next year at the quarterback position? So we'll move on. The final topic of the day, everybody. The NFL honors ceremony. We're going to give our production, or not production, but our predictions, excuse me, real quick for us. We got the MVP. We'll start off with MVP.
We'll start off
So
with
my
MVP.
prediction, yeah, we'll start off with MVP, the heavy hitter. I think it's going to be pretty clear cut. I've got Lamar Jackson winning this one. He had the number one seed in the AFC, leading that squad. He was amazing on the ground and through the air. He took a big leap this year. So Lamar Jackson's my MVP of this
AFC
season.
Championship too.
Yeah, exactly.
Big
Yeah,
year, big year. But we got to see what happens following here. I mean, big year. I don't think the playoffs should be included in this. My personal take. I think
mm,
this should be just regular season, which I still am fine with him winning,
yeah,
just regular season. But I think that should be more of a factor. Is him
mm,
just regular season? I have Lamar Jackson as well winning MVP. I want Christian McCaffrey, but if Lamar wins, you picked him at the beginning of the season.
I did.
You
I
did.
did. Yep.
You picked Lamar Jackson to win MVP. I
Yes,
picked
sir.
Joe Burrow. Well, we saw how that turned out, but
Uh,
I had Christian McCaffrey Offensive Player of the Year. If he gets MVP, I'll take a little credit.
oh,
But
yeah,
especially
there we go.
especially with a running back getting MVP.
Oh, exactly. But we'll go ahead and move on to Offensive Player of the Year. So for my pick, I've got Christian McCaffrey. I think it's pretty easy and pretty cut drive. Who should win this award? I mean, he played phenomenal this season. He had what 17 straight games. He scored a touchdown in almost. So this man was San Francisco's just go-to um, offensive playmaking guy this season, and he definitely deserves the award. He was in consideration for the MVP in the middle of the year, so I think he deserves to be the offensive player of the year. But who's your pick?
So I picked Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the season to be Offensive Player of the Year. I thought he was going to ball out. I said the Niners were the best team in football.
Mm,
I still don't. I still think probably Baltimore was the best team, but I'm going with.
yeah.
I'm thinking the Niners are still the best team. But on Offensive Player of the Year, I think this was actually a really tough year. So what between two people, because don't forget Tyreek was
Yeah.
killing it this year. He was playing
He
out of
was. He
his
really was.
mind. He was, oh my goodness, and Jay Jetto, if he hadn't got hurt, was on like a record year as well, both of them. But I don't want to sleep on Tyreek because I do think he had a great year. But I'm going with Christian McCaffrey as well. I picked him at the beginning of the year. Let's see if I can predict this one too.
Yeah.
I think yeah, Christian McCaffrey, like you stated, was an absolute beast this season. He's gonna be
Oh yeah,
number one in fantasy drafts next year, 100% guaranteed.
for sure.
Dude is an absolute stud. Dude may go down as one of the greatest to ever do it.
He may, but I like that pick. We're in agreement the first two awards, but for the next award prediction, we've got Defensive Player of the Year. So Defensive Player of the Year, I'm probably gonna go with. I'm gonna say it. Who do you think my selection is, Stash?
I think you're gonna go with as the finalist. I think you're gonna go with Deron Bland. If I'm being honest, I think that no. Who are you going
No,
with?
you're close. You're close. I had Deron Bland finishing second for me. He had a crazy good year, especially taking.
Crazy year, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, breaking Dion's record for most pick sixes in a year. But my pick for Defensive Player of the Year is none other than Miles Garrett. He had an insane year, and I think it's about time he wins one finally. So I think he's very deserving this year of the
I
award.
think Miles Garrett was absolutely astonishing this year, but he's not my pick.
Who's your pick?
So we are not. This is our first award that we are not in agreement with.
Mm,
Me personally, I'm going with T.J. Watt on this one.
okay.
I think T.J. Watt had an outstanding year, and I think that he proved that why he is one of the greatest defensive players to ever do it. Like there's just
Mm,
something in the white blood that just makes them just absolute studs. So this year he was incredible on sacks. He like when he wasn't out there, you could tell he wasn't out there.
mm.
I'm going with T.J. Watt.
I like the pick. I respect it. He's definitely deserving as well. Um, But we've got next up Offensive Rookie of the Year. And for my pick, my selection, I've got CJ Stroud. I think leading the Texans to the playoffs, he has the best touchdown interception ratio since Joe Montana and Tom Brady. So I think he's an elite quarterback already, playing at a high level. Year two, he's going to ball out, I feel like. But this year, I feel like he definitely deserves to be Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I want to take a second to congratulate the Lions for how drafting so well because they have two rookies that were finalists for Rookie of the Year,
Wow.
Jahmyr Gibbs and Sam Laporta. So, congrats to the Lions. That was absolutely
Really?
incredible. Me personally, I think they both played excellent, but I think this finalist list is really only two guys. I think it's C.J. Stroud, Puka Nakua, and that's it. Because
Hmm.
because both of them were outstanding. Me personally, Puka was healthy all year. He made an impact all year. I would give it to him, but I think C.J. Stroud wins the award, mainly
Yeah.
for being partly for being a QB. But I think Puka Nakua was absolutely like insane in the postseason. He was insane in the regular season. He was insane. Without Cooper Cup and taking off the lead role as the number one guy straight out the gate was absolutely bonkers to me that he was
Yeah.
playing that well with a QB he had never taken snaps from.
I mean, I agree with you. It's between those two for sure. Puka Nakua broke the rookie receiving yards record, so he's definitely deserving of it as well. I think CJ taking the Texans to the playoffs in his first year is a little bit more impressive. Um, but I think, needless to say, either one of those guys you can't go wrong with. But so we got Defensive Rookie of the Year. This is very interesting. There's a couple of guys that could win the award. I'm going Joey Porter Jr. of the Steelers. I think he had an incredible rookie campaign in Pittsburgh. He's got big shoes to fill. His father played for the Steelers, but he played exceptionally well this season. I think he should definitely get the award. But who's your pick?
I picked him at the beginning of the year. I thought Jalen Carter was going to be a big factor for the Eagles, and I felt like he did a great job this year, especially in being a rookie and being part of that defense. I know that they kind of fell apart towards the end of the year, but I
Mhm.
still give him a lot of credit for being a starter and just balling out and just being such a threat for the run game and to get into the QB. I'm going with Jalen Carter.
There you go. That's a good one as well. We got comeback player of the year next. I've got old man Joe Flacco, and a lot of
I,
people saying it's gonna be Damar Hamlin. He didn't play at all this year, people. I'm sorry. He cannot win the war if he didn't see the field. I know he came back from death, which is an amazing feat itself. But give the man Joe Flacco his credit. He gave life to that dying Cleveland offense, and I think he's very deserving of the award. But who's your pick?
I I just don't think Damar Hamlin should get it for playing 5 times. I don't get me wrong; it's incredible. It is absolutely astonishing, and I am very happy that he is able to overcome everything. But my pick's Baker Mayfield. I
Hey,
know that
I
may
like
sound
it.
like a homer pick, but like he had an incredible season.
He
You know,
did.
6 years. This is his fourth team. He's likely getting re-signed. If not, I've heard teams are looking out to reach out to take over. Even Atlanta's been like looking at trying to offer him some money. Could you imagine Baker with Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London?
Man. Mm.
Yeah, I don't want to see it either. So I think Baker Mayfield is the comeback player of the year for me. Flacco,
I,
I love. If Flacco could have gotten further, I'm like, if Flacco won Super Bowl, 100%, no doubt in my mind. Comeback player of the year, Hall of Fame, Super Bowl MVP, got it. But I'm gonna go with Baker on it.
I like the selection. Baker Mayfield's definitely deserving of comeback player of the year. Um, Joe Flacco, Baker Mayfield. I think both of those players are definitely in the running for it. But we'll go ahead and go to coach of the year. I'm going with Detroit Lions man himself, Dan Campbell. I mean, turning it around. People just didn't believe him in his first 2 seasons, and he said, "Yeah, you got to believe in me now because I took it. I took us all the way to the NFC championship game. We're scratching, we're clawing, we're biting kneecaps off, but we got us to this point." So I think he's very deserving of the Coach of the Year award for what he accomplished this year in Detroit, breaking the 3 decade curse of not making a play, well, not winning a playoff game. Excuse me. They made the playoffs with Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, but didn't win a game. But that is a crazy 31 years of winning a playoff game and making it all the way to the NFC Championship. That's a round of applause for that man, Dan Campbell.
Oh, definitely. So I want to talk about these coaches because I think they've all done great this year. For a second, Kevin Stefanski, the coach for the Cleveland Browns,
Yeah,
being the most injured team all year, having your star running back hurt
think
like
about
the
it.
second week
Yeah.
of the season, and still thriving. The defense helping out as much as they can and making it to the postseason. Incredible, absolutely incredible. What a year! Congratulations to the Browns for what they did. It was amazing to see. And like even me, I was rooting for the Browns in the playoffs. I'm like, come on, guys, Flacco, get it done. I, so
Man.
I loved it. Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers having an absolutely incredible year. The team has
Yeah.
blown people out of the water all season long, just like the Baltimore Ravens. I think that they were excellent as well. Because John Harbaugh is also as a finalist, and I think that he's much deserving as too. That team looked incredible up until the AFC Championship game. I think changing the run scheme was so weird, but
It was.
I'm not a coach. I can't really tell you. And the guy who I personally wanted to win the award because I think this is an incredible story, rookie QB, first time head coach, D'Amico Ryans with the Houston
Yep.
Texans was a great story. Going all the way in, winning a playoff game in your first year, it was incredible. I think there's a lot of praise there. But Dan Campbell did what no other coach has done in 30 something, 32 years. Won two playoff
Yep.
games, both at Ford Field. What a
Man.
season for Dan Campbell and the Lions. They had an absolutely outstanding year, and we'll see what happens the following year. Ben Johnson also decided he's going to stay. He's got unfinished business in Detroit. That's
That's
going
a
to
big
definitely be
addition.
a
Yep.
big thing to keep. But I'm going to go with Dan Campbell as well on this. I think Dan Campbell definitely has earned the coach of the year, in my opinion. Even with his play calling in the playoffs, I felt like he stuck to his guns. That's respectable at least.
Yeah. Both coaches are very deserving of the award. Dan Campbell, D'Amico Ryans, whichever you choose.